A lot of people believe that if they train martial arts, they know self-defense. That's a bunch of BS. If you stay tuned, I'm going to explain a whole bunch of different martial arts and how you should be training them to learn self-defense. Do you want to train martial arts? Do you want to train martial arts and learn about self-defense? This video is meant for people who have no idea about the differences of the different styles of martial arts. I'm going to do my best to just kind of explain it all for you, kind of show what it might look like. I don't have all the uniforms anymore that I used to have, so I'm just going to wear my street clothes and maybe you'll see what we do. Okay, so typically when you see people talk about karate, they wear like white pants. Well, they can wear any color pants, but they're wearing like gi pants, right? And they're wearing a top and they have a belt on. So that's going to be usually karate or Taekwondo, okay? Karate or Taekwondo will typically have what's called a bow stance, a big long stance, okay? They obviously have what's called a broken bow stance, but they're in these deep stances. They're throwing punches more so like this, right? In Taekwondo, lots of kicking, like tons of kicking. They're typically sideways when they're fighting somebody. They're here. You see them bouncing a lot and throwing all these different kicks. Really good for flexibility, fantastic to build strong kicking. Karate typically doesn't throw as many kicks, although they do throw a lot of kicks. So I'd say karate's like 50% kicks, 50% punches, where Taekwondo would be like 90-ish% kicks. So if you went to a Taekwondo school, expect to kick a lot, expect to build good flexibility. Advantages and disadvantages of that, okay, are going to be dependent on your school. So without bringing in the world of self-defense, I'm going to save that for the very end, okay, you're going to build strong legs. You're going to build an understanding of how to use your body, which is great. You're going to learn memorization because you're going to do a whole bunch of patterns and blocks and things like that. You're going to learn how to break boards. And really, there's nothing wrong with it at all. Can it be used for self-defense? That's where it's going to be dependent on the environment and the instructor you have. But on to the next martial art. As I was growing up, I grew up with karate and Taekwondo. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through the process, what I went through. Okay, a couple years later, now I'm into kickboxing. So kickboxing, think boxing with kicking. And you're like, well, that's very similar to karate, isn't it? Typically nowadays when you hear kickboxing, you're thinking like going for a workout, right? You're going to 9 rounds, you're going to Rumble, right? All these different places where it's like terrible technique sometimes. I've been to some that are good. I've been to some that are not so good, right? But it's a fantastic workout, right? So they're teaching you to throw punches, your jabs, your crosses, your hooks, your uppercuts, your body shots. They're teaching you to fire your roundhouse kick, maybe your front kicks, but that's about it, right? There's basically 2 basic kicks. They're not going to show you a lot of side kicks like you'd see in Taekwondo. There's not going to be a lot of spinning kicks. Good. It's fantastic. It's a nice martial art. It's really great for workouts. It's good to teach you a little bit of better hands. Remember, my hands from karate and Taekwondo were used to being down here in this low chamber position, right? So I used to get shit all the time from my kickboxing coach, like, put your hands up, goat. What are you doing? Oh yeah, I need a guard, right? So if I'm punching him, that's my defense, right? Where in karate, if I'm punching him, where's my defense, right? But again, we'll get into the applications as time goes on. Kind of its older brother, right, would be Muay Thai. So the art of the 8 deadly limbs, think kickboxing, but now they're incorporating elbows and knees, right? They typically do more clench work. So they're driving knees in. You see this a lot. They're in tight to throw elbows and piercing elbows. Dangerous art, very dangerous art. Absolutely love it. The reason why I love it is because now you're not just focusing on what I call long range techniques with your kicking, your punching. Now you're getting into kind of this clinch range, right? What a lot of people call trapping range, right? And they're using their clinches to throw their elbows. There's a big fight taking place. It's super popular all over the world, and I think it's a great combined martial arts system, and I think it'd be really good to incorporate into self-defense. It's hard to find good Muay Thai instructors. Okay. Typically you'll see Muay Thai instructors teaching kickboxing classes. Let's just go through the 5 ranges quick. If I'm out here, I'm at weapons range. So if I have a stick in my hand, if I have a knife in my hand, okay, when we're out here, I'm doing all my techniques, right, which is great. But typically, especially with the stick, that means I can't hit them. So that range of stick and knife, okay, is called Filipino martial arts in my world. Okay, where we master using a stick and using a knife, 1 for our self-defense, but 2, just because they're super fun to play with. Okay, So Filipino martial arts, weapons range, okay? We move into that kicking range, right? Kickboxing has it, Taekwondo has it, karate has it, Muay Thai has it. Ability to use your kicks. Would I be using them for self-defense? Probably not. Reason why is if I'm like throwing a high kick and coming up here, one, I can lose my balance. Two, my groin is exposed. Three, if I miss the kick, I fall on my ass. Four, if I'm a biped creature, which I am because I only have 2 legs, if I slip and I fall when I kick, I've done that in a fight. Now I'm on the ground and I'm getting my ass handed to me. Now we're kind of in this weird place where, okay, now I'm in punching range. I could be in my boxing range. I could be in my karate range. I could be in my Taekwondo range, my Muay Thai range. This is just your punching range, okay? Now we're into this trapping range. So trapping is typically when I take one of my opponent's arms, I trap the other arm with that arm so I can hit him with this. Now you're looking at what's called Jeet Kune Do, JKD, okay, Bruce Lee's martial art, or Wing Chun Kung Fu. Think Ip Man, go watch all the Ip Man movies, they're fantastic, okay? So here it's very cool, it's a trapping range. The punches typically don't have a massive amount of power because they're not using rotational force sometimes to build up that power. Although like high level Wing Chun practitioners can create some really solid power. But typically you see like what's called chain punching. So just a whole bunch of fast punches trying to do the damage versus one big knockout punch. Okay, at this trapping range, now we're also in that kind of clinch range where, okay, I can throw punches here. They're going to be weaker. So maybe instead I should be throwing elbows, right? Typically you see this in the Thai roll. Then we get into the very intimate range, yes, right, of grappling. Okay, so oh, he's just hugging me, so nice, right? So while in the grappling range, now we're looking at wrestling schools. Typically, at least in Canada, we're going to be seeing those in school programs, right? Then we also have jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu has just blown the whole world apart, and I love it. I'm black belt in jits. It's fantastic for training. It's a really good workout. The thing that's lacking the most, in my opinion, is it's so focused on competition that there's actually a lack of self-defense taking place. And that's what it was really built for. It was built for somebody who's smaller to be able to take away larger people's power. And when it turned into competition, all of that was kind of lost. If you go back to like the original UFCs, like 1 through 10, you're going to start seeing jiu-jitsu that looks way different. They're throwing punches, they're doing all these things, right? Then we have mixed martial arts, which is kind of, well, typically nowadays, it's going to be wrestling. It's going to be kickboxing or Muay Thai. It's going to be jiu-jitsu, and they kind of combine all of this into one, okay? Most schools don't let you start with MMA right away. You usually have to show that you have a good base in ground fighting, you have a good base in your standing striking before you get invited to a mixed martial arts class, which I love. Please keep that going so we keep people safe out there. There's also martial arts like Krav Maga, right? Krav Maga is known for its groin kicks and its eye pokes. But the thing with Krav Maga is they actually do a lot more groundwork that a lot of people wouldn't do, right? They typically see like headlocks and how to get rid of headlocks and chokes and all my videos. So a lot of people are like, oh, Kevin, you teach Krav Maga. I'm like, well, actually, I can teach a combined system of all the years of training into one. I'm also a Hapkido 3rd degree, right? So I'm really good at wrist locks and joint manipulation and things like that. The only time I was really able to do a lot of that, though, was actually in jiu-jitsu. Okay, so let's get to the nitty-gritty. Where is the self-defense in all of this? Because when you say that your kid trains in karate and does self-defense, I'm going to disagree. And the reason why I'm going to disagree right away is because self-defense is a mindset that you're training with, no matter what martial art you're doing. So for example, if I'm teaching my students to stand here and just bang all day and be in the ring and just smash, 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 I'm not teaching them self-defense. Self-defense is not fighting. Self-defense is preventing situations from taking place. Self-defense is situational awareness, trying to prevent anything from ever happening to begin with. So if you're choosing to go into a fight, you are choosing right now to fight somebody. That's ego versus ego. That is definitely not self-defense. And there's probably a lot of schools that are teaching that, especially to kids. But when it comes down to good self-defense, it comes down to the environment that you're in and the mindset that you're training with. So when I'm doing my jiu-jitsu and all my ground fighting stuff, I'm making sure that my head is on a swivel and then I'm not putting myself in precarious positions where a multiple attacker can get me. When I do strict jiu-jitsu and I'm training for competition, I'll take the back. I'll go for head and arm chokes. But for example, here, if I put Chris into a head and arm choke here and he pulls a knife out with his left hand, he just starts stabbing me. Oh, maybe that's not a good position for me to be in. But if I continue to train that in my jiu-jitsu, what's going to happen to me when I'm faced with that in real life? So long story short, there's a lot of different styles of martial arts out there. What I would always recommend if you're looking to get into it or get your kids into it, find an environment that is a supporting environment for them to learn, and then learn about self-defense through my videos. Because if you notice, all of it is going to come down to a mindset, and that's all in your mind. Stay safe.